I've never shot a luxury SUV before, so I'm gonna go shoot a Range Rover. I'm gonna take it up kind of to a provincial park. It was snowing this morning, so it's gonna be a nice fresh layer of snow. Hopefully the roads haven't been driven on too much. Hopefully the trees still have that nice fluffy layer. And yeah, that's what we're gonna go explore, and that's what I'm gonna bring you guys along for the process. So let's go and shoot this car. All right, we got the car. We are gonna go shoot, but first things first, coffee run. As always. No photo shoot is complete without a Tim Hortons coffee, and that's a fact. Hi, can I get a large double-double? Awesome, thank you, you too. Alright, and just like that, we're off. We're gonna rinse this car off, then we're gonna head to the destination. So, I will see you after the car wash. Alright, so I have found the location I'm wanting to shoot in. I'll show that to you guys right away. This is what I'm thinking. Now, the reason I'm thinking of shooting here is because I really like the white falling off the pines in the background. So I think I'm gonna shoot some B-roll for you guys to see, and then we'll start taking some photos. So yeah, let's do it. Okay, the shoot is done. It's a lot colder than I thought it would have been. I can't feel my face. I can't feel my hands. And the shots started to get very, very shaky near the end. I didn't get to do nearly as much as I was hoping for. I was hoping for there to be snow, which it looks like it's starting to snow now, of course. But I probably have about 45 minutes left of sunlight. It's not big enough snowflakes as I'd prefer. But that's okay. We're gonna head back home now, offload this footage. Yeah, I'll see you guys when I get back home. All right, guys, we are back from the photo shoot. Now we are going to edit some of these photos. What you guys are seeing right now is kind of the photos I decided to choose. These ones so far are my favorite. One thing I've learned from actually one of my favorite YouTubers, shout out North Borders, not that he needs me to shout him out, but I'm gonna do it anyways, is to expose for the highlights. I found with car photography that works really well. What I've learned in my experience is that I find it's easier to bring up the shadows on the bodywork of a car, and it's way easier to retain the information in the car than it is with the highlights, especially if you know you're not shooting on a cloudy day where there's overcast, or you know, where you kind of have just this natural softbox, especially if you're shooting, you know, in days that are a lot sunnier. It's gonna be a lot harder to control the light. Normally what I would do is, I'm gonna mess with the exposure in this case a little bit, nothing crazy, just enough to kind of bring everything up a little. I don't want to overexpose the highlights, but we can always turn it down. And see, I can kind of see into the wheel well a little bit more, so I like that. I'm gonna bring up the shadows slightly. I always bring up the shadows, but then I crush the black. That way I'm bringing up the detail, but I'm still retaining the deepness of the color. Because if I pull up the shadow, you can see now past the rims. If I crush the blacks, it keeps that dark in. That is a bit too much. So I'm gonna kind of Control Z to where we were before. Highlights, I'm gonna bring them up slightly. Bit more contrast. The nice thing about this lighting is, in my opinion, I think the photo already looks neat. Right now, I kind of like where the shadows fall and where the highlights are at. I think one thing I would maybe consider doing is cropping in now. I like where the car is placed, but I think I'd like to bump it up so it's a little bit more on the third than where it's kind of slightly below right now. One thing I really want to do is I actually don't want much saturation in this. Right now, playing with the blue sliders a little bit, there actually is quite a bit of blue in here that I don't mind. Kind of that aqua in the windshield, I want that out. I like where this is at. The thing I wouldn't mind doing is just bringing up that front tire a bit. I feel like the front tire is a little dark. I'm gonna crop this bad boy first though. I don't want to lose that tree. right there. That is what I like. Yeah, the car is a bit more of the focus now. Now, one thing I'm going to do real quickly, I'll brighten this wheel up ever so slow. Loading. Just like that. See, that's a bit better. Now it just kind of slightly matches the back. Not out of place, and I really like the way this photo is looking. This is what we had before. This is what we have now. One thing I wish I could have done is I wish I could have had more depth from the trees. This is a bit of a flatter image, but being on an actual road, I couldn't park in the other lane and still direct people. So that's something to note for next time, especially at this angle, you know, being flat right along the side, like the car here and the background. It's just a very flat image. And I don't love that, but that's something to look at next time, right? It's always learning, always moving forward. This photo, on the other hand, is not flat. I love this depth. I actually think this would be a dope poster. I don't even know if I want to crop it. I kind of am in love with where it's at, and we're gonna leave it. Once again, we're gonna brighten up the exposure a bit. Nothing crazy. Get those darks where I want everything to be. Get that histogram looking nice. I'm gonna bring these shadows kind of back down like that. Punch up the blacks a hair so I still have the detail. Brush those highlights just a bit. Up that contrast. And what I think I'm gonna do, I'm already very, very happy with this. I don't think there's any aqua, but I'm seeing a bit. I'm gonna keep that blue in. Pull out it ever so slightly. I don't like to mess with the clarity, but with this one, a little bit. About 37, so that's better. I'm not gonna dehaze it. I don't want to mess with these sliders too much. I like the clarity where it's at. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to mask this subject. We're going to invert it. And then now, I'm just going to clean it up and make sure the car is affected by it. Nothing crazy, just a nice, subtle brush. So now what I want to do, kind of bring up the highlights a bit more. Just bring some more contrast into it. I like that. I like that. I don't think there's any green. I'm gonna pull it out because I don't want it. This is what I'm happy with. I just love the way it looks. The silver looks amazing on the black. I could not be more happy with how this photo turned out. I love the way the trees are cascading along the background, slightly being blurred out. I wish I actually could get this wider, but this by far is one of my favorite shots. All right, so now we're shooting from the back. Same idea as before. It is, I don't want to just stuff the car out of the frame. Down a little bit more. I like it. I like it. Maybe too much. Just like that. Up this exposure a little bit. Up the contrast. No, not the contrast. Exposure. Brush those shadows. Lift those blacks. Highlights. That contrast. I want those deep. Highlights a bit down. More crushed. There we go. Bit of clarity in there. That aqua. Remove that green. And now we're flowing. And I like what we're looking at. I like this. I think this is perfect. If anything, one thing I would do is just, I'm gonna mask out the car. I like what the background is at. I want the car just a little bit where we were at before. That's what we're at now. Just a little bit less of that overexposed highlights. I love these style of photos. I love shooting through. Once again, got this style of shot from North Borders. I think it looks great. For this one, we're gonna crush we're gonna bring up the shadows, deepen the blacks just a bit to get that contrast. Highlights come up in this one. Bit more contrast. bit of saturation just for the dash, a little bit of vibrance. That orange though, I want out of there. I don't want any orange, don't want any yellow, don't want any red. I don't want any of what that light was going on at all. I don't think I'm messing with anything else on the dash. And honestly, super simple, exposed properly at the start. I'm very happy with this Land Rover interior. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something today. I hope you got a bit of an understanding of how my brain works, how I edit my photos, and kind of how I sort through my workflow, and how I come to my finalized edits. I put that in quotations because really I don't think an edit is ever complete. You're just satisfied with it in the moment. I can't count how many times I have gone back to photos that were once my favorite photo I've ever shot, edited, and then I look at it and I'm blown away by how absolutely crappy it looks. Either way, I don't really know where I was going with that rant. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.